Good morning, everybody. We got some wonderful news and we got some sad news, but it's going to be an absolutely wonderful show. So let's get started. And good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Patrick Flynn, and welcome to this morning's A Different Perspective. I am always so glad you guys are with me here on Saturday morning. And if you remember, last week we had the book launch, which we'll talk about in just a second. But the one thing that I want to reiterate again last week is what it takes to do great things. You need other great people. And these three young doctors had no idea I was going to do this today, but Doc's coming up for a second. It was three of our doctor interns that will be practicing all over the country and stuff. First, passing by me is Dr. Kelsey coming to our side for me. Then we have Dr. Monica and Dr. Destiny. I don't have mics for them today, but they are three of our wonderful interns. We also have more interns coming, and they're here right now, actually, but they're not here with us today. But these wonderful docs, I will tell you, I've known all of them for some years. They've trained extremely hard. They're leaders in our clubs, in their chiropractic schools, and they spent many times way beyond their hours of school. They could have just sat at school and just did their things, but they went way above and beyond, spent countless hours weekly to get better and better. Now they're here, and you can ask them. I push them extremely hard because I want them to be the best of the best when they get out and practice, and they are. They've done wonderful things. So, morning, docs. It's great to see you guys. All right. Have a seat, okay? So, still goes by my theory that in order to do great things, you need other great people, and great people are not born, they are developed. And development sometimes is painful. It really is. It's like if you're gonna develop a muscle, guess what happens? You're going to go through some pain to get it where you want to go. So, that being said, talk about pain, let's take a look at this slide right here, because we challenge you. Okay, we have all our challenges. In January, we do our no sugar, and our new one coming up next April will be our detox challenge. We want to clean your house out of all the toxic things, try to get out of your body too. Protein challenge was absolutely incredible. The emails continue to come in. The one I'm actually the most excited about, though, I'm not joking, is still the sleep challenge coming up in October. We're going to be doing why women need more sleep, but men need less of sleep too. Okay, they just need less than women. So I want to see women get a little bit more. I will tell you this, I found some research, and I'm going to be posting it on the first week in October, that if a woman gets an average of 1 hour sleep more, especially than a man, her sex drive goes up 14%. 14%. I think that hour is worth it, okay? So that being said, we have all these challenges. So that way, you see there, we got all these great things that we're going to constantly share with you. And once again, all the challenges don't cost you anything. Okay, avoid some sugar, remove some bad stuff, eat some more protein, get some more sleep. See, they're all things that you can participate, but you know something? They're challenges. They're challenges in the world that we have today because some of the things that we do on a regular basis actually untrain us to this stuff, which I say makes everything much more difficult on your health and life. Now, as you guys know, last week we had the good book launch. It was huge. We've sold books all over the world. It's incredible. As you can see, this wonderful book right here, it's absolutely incredible. Dr. Alex and my beautiful wife, Christy, have just made an incredible book. It's been doing so amazing. Thank you guys are all at the book launch. Remember, you can go to the website. There's links to purchase it. Soon it'll be on all their networks. Remember, I'm just the talent, so I don't know all this stuff. So our team does all this great stuff, but it's going to be on Amazon soon. It's going to be all the book things, and but you can still go to our website. That's one place I do know where it is at and stuff. So go to our website, get the book. And as we continue, you will see our author here in a second as we're going to go over as we do our giveaways. So let's go over, Travis, to Dr. Bryce, Aaron Walton,
everyone.
and Christy.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, yeah. So you guys, welcome to the show this morning. We have a lot of exciting things to go through, obviously. And we are continuing our giveaway series. So today we are going to be giving away some of our immune glandular. So mixing it up a little bit, but that's going to have multiple different organs in there to provide your body the nutrients that it needs to thrive. We are on Facebook, Instagram. I believe we are actually live on TikTok today as well. So make sure you guys are hopping on there, interacting with us, and we look forward to talking with you guys in chat.
All right. As always, We have our Academy winner. We're so excited for this. So this week's Academy winner is actually a stay-at-home mom whose kids are in school, and sometimes it's ready for that next stage of life, right? So she actually has no medical or healthcare background, so this is a totally new endeavor for her. I'm so excited. So welcome to the Academy, Cassie Conley. You're going to join the Wellness Way Academy, and we're so excited to have you. What you got?
What do I have? I have from scratch right here with me. So we are so excited to bring this to you, and I know I've been seeing a bunch of posts, a bunch of tags of people who have received their books and have already started cooking some of the recipes with their kids. Please continue to do that. Tag us. It's super exciting seeing that happen. But that being said, if you happen to have a recipe or some kind of food that, because of testing your food allergies, making different health goals, that some of these recipes just don't fit anymore and you need to rework them and you are having challenges, please reach out to me and Alex. If you can send a message to thewellnessway.com/myrecipe, what we will do is we will work according to what your goals are, what your allergies are, and be able to recreate that recipe for you. So if you haven't already please purchase a cookbook. You will not regret it, I promise.
It's worth it.
So
it's
good.
Great.
All right, everybody, that's awesome. Like I said, cookbook things, but as you can see right here, as they're over there and all of our team in back, and Dr. Brad and Dr. Antonio and Dr. Lucas and all the people who don't have behind the scenes, you can see right here we have $1,000 of giveaways that we do every single Saturday morning. Do you have to be live? Yes, you have to be live and interacting. Talk to all them. As you know, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on every platform that way. But the most important page is by far thewellnessway.com and go to our ADP page. Now, that being said, every Saturday morning, as you guys know, you can see over with Aaron Walton, our head journalist, and all of our other wonderful journalists, you can scroll down to the bottom of our website and see, sign up for our email list, and it comes out sometimes twice per week, because I think we also have an ADP recap. And put your email in. All we do is just send you the wonderful things and updates that we do on a regular basis, all the events going on. It's fantastic. And I said, I absolutely love our website. But believe it or not, guys, our most important part of our website, as you see that Dr. Kelsey, Dr. Monica, Dr. Destiny, one day they're gonna be very soon. If you go to our website, top right, find a clinic, click on it, and you'll see all the wonderful clinics up there doing amazing things. And not only do we see more offices every single month, see more offices, but more doctors join our clinics every single month. So I'm very excited for that. Now, as I said before when I started, I was very excited when it came down to things that are going on here constantly, but I was a little saddened. I got a little message recently from the campaign of Robert F. Jr. And as you guys know, what he did is he stepped away from running for president, which I totally understand. And, Travis, not yet. So this is the article that we're going to talk about and stuff. So we actually had a wonderful time with him as far as the campaign and everything and what he stands for. And it was great because what it did, it allowed us to actually see the wonderful things that he was doing and everything was going on. And the nice thing is this, he has a wonderful platform he ran on, but he came out last night, he went actually to the Trump rally, because now Trump is, once again, he's endorsing Trump, but also he's gonna be a figure when it comes to that campaign itself. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a little 4-minute clip to kind of go over some of the very important policy things. Remember, he spoke for a while after in that way, but there's some pretty good issues in here just in this 4-minute clip that I want you guys to watch. So let's watch it.
Assassination. Callie Means called me on my cell phone. I was then in Las Vegas. Callie is arguably the leading advocate for food safety, for soil regeneration, and for ending the chronic disease epidemic that is destroying America's health and ruining our economy. Callie has exposed the insidious corruption at the FDA, the NIH, the HHS, and the USDA that has caused the epidemic. Callie had been working on and off for my campaign, advising me on those subjects since the beginning. And those subjects have been my primary focus for the last 20 years. I was delighted when Callie told me that day that he had also been advising President Trump. He told me President Trump was anxious to talk to me about chronic disease and other subjects and to explore avenues of cooperation. He asked if I would take a call from the president. President Trump telephoned me a few minutes later, and I met with him the following day. A few weeks later, I met again with President Trump and his family members and close advisors in Florida. In a series of long, intense discussions, I was surprised to discover that we are aligned on many key issues. In those meetings, he suggested that we join forces as a unity party. We talked about Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals. That arrangement would allow us to disagree publicly and privately, and fiercely if need be, on issues over which we differ, while working together on the existential issues upon which we are in concordance. I was a ferocious critic of many of the policies during his first administration, and there are still issues and approaches upon which we continue to have very serious differences. But we are aligned with each other on other key issues, like ending the forever wars, ending the childhood disease epidemics, securing the border, protecting freedom of speech, unraveling the corporate capture of our regulatory agencies, getting the U.S. intelligence agencies out of the business of propagandizing and censoring and surveilling Americans and interfering with our elections. Following my first discussion with President Trump, I tried unsuccessfully to open similar discussions with Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris declined to meet or even to speak with me. Suspending my candidacy is a heart-rending decision for me, but I'm convinced that it's the best hope for ending the Ukraine war and ending the chronic disease epidemic that is eroding our nation's vitality from the inside, and for finally protecting free speech. I feel a moral obligation to use this opportunity to save millions of American children, above all things. In case some of you don't realize how dire the condition is of our children's health and chronic disease in general, I would urge you to view Dr. Carlson's recent interview with Callie Means and his sister, Dr. Casey Means, who is the top graduate of her class at Stanford Medical School. This is an issue that affects all of us far more directly and urgently than any culture war issue, and all the other issues that we obsess on and that are tearing apart our country. This is the most important issue. Therefore, it has the potential to bring us together. So let me share a little bit about why I believe it's so urgent. Today, 2/3, we spend.
What a wonderful clip. And he talked about, he's going into it, and we've talked about this many times on our show, that 2/3 American are sick as can be. If there's one thing that we can all kind of unify on is this. I want you guys to take a second, sit back, it'll be a little emotional. I want you to picture somebody that you dearly care about that's extremely sick. Even what I do for a living, there's family members that will not even take one word of advice I say, okay? Even influence I've had. Dr. Jesse's experienced it, all the people that experience it that way, and Dr. Jesse's speaking here today when it comes to our topic today. And if there's one thing unifying that we know, we can understand, we have empathy and sympathy. We can feel the pain of our friends and family that go through those things. And actually, it's a unifying thing because I don't care, how much you may disagree on some social issues, gay, lesbian, trans, all the other bullshit they want to separate you from and all the things. But when you have somebody that you care about that has somebody that's sick, we can all come together to hope that that person recovers. And that's one thing that's kind of unifying. And I love what he said. And think about this. I love what he said. He's aligned on many key issues. I have a surprise for you. This may surprise you. And she's right here. My wife and I don't see eye to eye on everything. I think she's wrong, you know what I'm saying? But that's just me. You can go to the camera for her, Travis. You can see her laughing that way. And some of that, you know what I'm saying? We don't, but our major key issues are so unifying that doesn't separate you. You know what I'm saying? You're all going to have differences. And I encourage Aiden, one of my awesome, amazing managers here of our media. I was actually in our media meeting with there was like 7 people yesterday. I'm like, if all of us think the same and there's not arguments about how to look at things, do stuff, we're not doing things right. We're not doing things right. And he said, but we're so aligned on the key issue of what we're trying to do. And how we accomplish it, I don't even care if people are mad at each other. I don't care if there's debate. I don't care, and I love this. Disagree publicly, privately, or fiercely. Do you understand you can have direct, fierce debate? You can. On issues, stay on the issues, okay? There's times that, and like I said, coming up, I told you guys Dr. Jesse is covering our main topic today. There's times where Dr. Jesse and I see polar opposites. And we could even look at each other, and yeah, Jesse's even said, we were literally fighting, not physically, but fighting. And it's like, all right, man, love you, see you tomorrow. Do you see him? Because we debate an issue. And if you really have a concept on an issue, you should be able to articulate and come across, but see what happens. And this is one thing I want to call all of you medical people that are trying to tear on natural people. Do you understand, guys? I actually feel empathy for you because you don't understand that the massive majority of your regulation agencies that you sit there and go, FDA approved, they're corrupt. NIH, they're corrupt. It's not like it's a secret anymore. And the sad part is you so drink the Kool-Aid that you can't step back and go, man, maybe the stuff I'm taught could be wrong. Do you understand? The minute that you think that you know things so definitely, you'd be surprised about what you find out. They said there's 6 principles I live by, okay? And as you guys know, and I am thoroughly critical when it comes to, Christianity and churches and stuff like this, because there's only one thing I can honestly tell you about studying my faith so strong, that there's a God and I'm not him. The rest is debatable. Do you understand? And I will fiercely debate, but I can also fiercely debate with somebody and actually still have great love for them. Do you understand? And so I love the fact that RFK and Trump got together on stage last night and said, we attacked each other fiercely. But you know what I'm saying? But they come together on some major issues, which I absolutely love. That's how I run my life. But it's really funny. You'd be surprised. I want to fiercely debate even people that work for me or things this way. And I always tell them, I have a company that says, listen, you can say anything you want as long as you are willing to debate it. And as long as you're willing to debate it in front of everybody else. You'll get fired if you say something opposite of me behind closed doors and don't want to talk about it publicly. I'd have no problem if one of my docs came up to me and said, hey, I disagree with this, and when we have a weekly connect, so let's all get together and talk about it that way. No, where people get fired is all of a sudden they get behind closed door and that's called gossip. You know what I'm saying? No, but if you believe something, yeah, I love debate because you should be able to articulate and debate your ideas. And that being said, I got something I'm going to say. I had such great hope for an interview I recently did. Now, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but maybe you guys can help me out on this. Because you realize that I got interviewed by the Wall Street Journal the other day when it came to RFK and some other things. They wanted to use a quote for me when it came to one of their articles. So Travis, pop up the article here. And here's the article that came in the Wall Street Journal. And you have to buy it. That's the one thing. So I had to pay $1.50 for 12 months every month. Don't worry, I can still eat. Don't worry, it's okay. But the idea is this, for 12 months, but RFK Jr.'s campaign window is closing. And they quoted me. Okay, now here's why. But Travis, come back to me before we do it. I don't trust the media, and people like us never get a fair shot when it comes to doing stuff. I used to have Fox News come over here every flu season and interview me, and they'd take one little snippet for 15 seconds and give the medical doctor 3 minutes about the flu shot, and then I at least said this, and I'm going to say this, I said, F you guys, I'm never doing an interview with you guys again unless it's live. Unless it's live. So then when Wall Street Journal reached out and said, hey, being a donor to RFK, and so which is public record. And a lot of people give them money, okay? And now, honestly, no joke, they got my amount wrong, so that's okay. But anyways, but long story short is this, I'm like, I always want to give people the benefit of doubt in journalism, stuff like that, because they're the vast majority of journalists are corrupt. But every once in a while you go, man, maybe it'd be kind of cool. So, and if you saw when I posted about it, you should have seen the comments. I had like 500 comments. Don't trust them, don't trust them. And people say, hey, listen, be careful running into the wolf, was it the wolf's den or whatever it is called? Or what did they say? Run into, I said, that's okay. I said, I don't mind running into a group of wolves because by the time I'm done, I'll lead the pack. Because I have no fear of it that way. okay? So all of a sudden I'm like, all right, and so we're gonna next week, Aiden, we're gonna release the full interview because this is what happens. And I never told the journalist because probably she would have been smarter, but I did video recording, I did 3 audio recordings to make sure that we would not have any problem of doing it. So we're gonna release the full interview. And therefore you'll see this, we'll post it next week that way. And we're gonna do the full thing, not in clips, we're gonna do the full thing so you see it from start to finish. And they're asking me, and you can see the whole thing, but then they're talking about RFK, and then it comes to my quote. And I think she was being a bitch. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but help me, okay, on this one. Here we go, let's look at the quote. And we're just talking about, they quote me, as long as he continues on the same track, which means his campaign, he's going to have influence even if he isn't allowed to debate or win the election himself. Okay, stop for a second, Travis, come back to me. Now what I meant by that is this. If you remember, Bernie Sanders, once again, got screwed over by DNC, it's not a secret, and he still was very influential after election. So that's what I meant by, I even used Bernie Sanders as a reference, you'll see in the full interview. I said Bernie Sanders was actually even more influential, even though he got screwed over by DNC and didn't have a chance to run for president. They didn't give him a fair shot and stuff like that. But, and trust me guys, you know, I'm not a Bernie Sanders fan, but get my point and stuff like that. But the idea is this, but he got screwed over and he was still influential. So I meant, hey, listen, even if RFK doesn't allow the debate, even if he doesn't get to go for a win presidency, he's still going to be very influential post-election. Would you guys agree with me on that? Let's go on. Said Wisconsin-based Patrick Flynn, forgot the doctor part, but that's okay, chief executive of the Wellness Way, a network of health restoration clinics. Here's the part that kind of like, okay, what are you trying to accomplish? He has donated $6,800, which is more than that, but anyways, and likes Kennedy's message accusing corruption of controlling aspects of the government, particularly in healthcare. Okay, were they like trying to say, I'm giving them money for corruption in healthcare, even though I'm in healthcare? Did you get that? I looked at all the other interviews, and they all donated to RFK, but because I was in healthcare and gave money, and I love that he attacks healthcare and money, and I will tell you this, it's kind of fun. Do you understand that if I gave RFK or Trump or even Kamala $1 million for their campaign, do you understand what they can do for my company? Nothing. Zero. Zilch. There is nothing I can benefit from the president or the vice president or anybody actually do for my company. We don't do insurance. We don't care about insurance. We don't care about Medicare. We don't care about Medicare. We don't care about all these things. It's a person, we give them a service and they pay us cash. Do you follow me? What are you going to unregulate? You know what I'm saying? Everything we do, we follow all federal and state laws. I kind of there going, there's nothing, they're not going to get more people in our office. Do you follow me that? There's never going to be a, which I never do anyways, there's never going to be a natural healthcare insurance. See, that's why I kind of laugh. I'm like going, I gave him money because actually I believe his key things that we agree upon, do you see what I'm saying? We're aligned in so many issues when it comes to healthcare. I was so excited about that. And that's why I gave him money. I also gave, other people money too. Do you know what I'm saying? And I can get nothing from them. Make this very clear. There's not one thing a politician can do that will help my company get bigger. You know how our company got bigger every year for 25 years? It was actually exchange of value. I try to train these docs so hard so they can offer the world some value. And then they get value back by somebody paying them and saying thank you for your wonderful service and stuff. And that's what happens. And see, and speaking of that, I love the fact that that's why we have to share ideas. And that's why I don't care if you're husband, wife, I don't care if you're partners in business, I don't care if you're employee, employer, I don't care if you're doctor, patient, I don't care if you're doctor, doctor. Guess what happens? This. There should be public debate. There should be private debate. There could be fierce debate. I would, there's times, like I said, it's really funny. There was years, I'm gonna give it, Jesse, I gotta tell him some funny examples. Jesse was a big Bernie Sanders fan, okay? And we would debate politically back and forth. He'd be like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Okay, love you, see you there. Do you follow me that? And been together for over a decade, and we can fiercely disagree and debate, but if you have a good idea, the debate and should lead to, once again, standing the test of time. And I think that every person here wants better, non-corrupt health care for their family members, no matter if it's health care that we deliver or even health care that may be needed as medical care. We don't want the FDA stepping in and saying, you can't do these procedures, so then your aunt and uncle have to go to Mexico to get them. And we don't even offer those services. But the point is this: why couldn't they get that here in the United States? Because there's a lot of corruption, okay? And that being said, I'm so excited for our topic today, as you can see right here. What the MTHFR does this mean? I can honestly tell you, Dr. Jesse has a wonderful passion for this topic and everything. And no joke, I know it's a very hot topic right now, and the team said, hey man, we should talk about MTHFR, and I've dealt with this my whole career and things like that. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there, literally, and Dr. Jesse is actually so passionate about this and so loved this, and it even hit me. And then yesterday, hey, we're gonna have you do a small segment, and I'm sitting there going, last night, I'm putting my slides together, I'm like, why am I doing this? Dr. Jesse is so good at this topic, teaching it, explaining it, do everything in great detail, that I'm like, all right, Dr. Jesse, I texted him like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, hey man, I want you to do the topic tomorrow because you're just so damn good at it. And I said, I remember you got some doctor slides, you probably have some patient slides. He's like, yep, I got a bunch of stuff. See you in the morning. And so I'm excited as we move into our perspective. And you'll see me before we do last 10%. But I'm very excited for Dr. Jesse to not only share his amazing perspective on this and topic, intensity, his passion for it. So Travis, let's get in and bring Dr. Jesse up and get into our get into our perspective today. Okay.
Well, hello everybody. I'm the aforementioned Dr. Jesse Anderson. I'm from the Wellness Way, Appleton. And what's really funny is that when this topic was first presented to me as something I should look more into and start researching, my exact response was, that sounds really dumb. I don't care about that. But then I started looking more into it, and yeah, no, that changed. That changed quite a bit because there is so much going on with this topic that we need to talk about that I need to share with you guys. So first of all, before we even talk about MTHFR and what that is and what we're talking about, I need to explain this concept of methylation to you first. And this article here actually pretty perfectly explained it, where it just said, improper methylation leads to every single disease, every one. Okay, now, is that a bit of an exaggeration? I'm going to say yes, but only a bit. Because you could easily make an argument that if your body was methylating properly, that most chronic diseases would not occur, and that most disease processes and inflammatory responses will decrease your methylation, and that's why you're now starting to get this disease process, okay? So what are some things that we see with improper methylation? If you have a methylation issue, well, here's just a small list of diseases that actually even bleeds off the page because there's so many things that methylation deals with, okay? If you have neuropathy, you're not methylating properly. If you have autism, you're not methylating properly. If you're bipolar, if you have diabetes, if you have MS, autoimmunity, any mental health issue is probably going to be a methylation issue. So what is methylation? Let's kind of go into a little bit more detail about that. It's actually very simple. It's very simple. You take a carbon group with 3 hydrogens on it and you slap it onto a molecule. That's it. That's really all we're talking about with this. But methylation is so important that certain molecules don't even function unless they're methylated. Our DNA doesn't function properly unless it's methylated. Our body uses this methylation process to actually allow different processes to occur. It's how it turns various things on and off. So if now we suddenly can't provide this basic physiological pathway properly, well, what's going to happen? Now we start to see these things fall apart, and we start to see these chronic diseases happen, okay? So this was exemplified beautifully when they did the study on what are called these agouti mice. So they found these mice, and researchers make me laugh, because the premise of their research was that we completely unmethylated all of the DNA of this group of mice. That's just a thing you can do? Okay, cool. They just said, yep, we just did that. Okay, fine. So they unmethylated all the DNA of one group of mice, and then they left the other mice alone. They made sure that they had properly methylated DNA. And what they found was that the mice with the unmethylated DNA actually grew to about twice the size of the other mice, and they actually turned from a brown color to a yellow color. So these mice became very obese and actually changed their physiology. They changed their phenotype of their DNA, so the actual look of it, because the DNA wasn't properly methylated. Because our body uses methylation in order to activate certain genes. Wait, doc, what are you talking about? I have this gene, therefore that means I'm destined to end up with this pathway happening. I'm destined to end up with this condition. No, our body turns genes on and off all the time. It's called epigenetics, something you should look into. That's a topic for another day, but epigenetics is such an important concept because just because you have a gene sitting there doesn't mean that you're destined to end up with some kind of crazy disease process. Like the BRCA gene in particular makes me irate because they literally call it the breast cancer gene. That's what BRCA stands for, BRCA. It's short for breast cancer. So they literally say this gene, its entire purpose is to cause breast cancer. Really? Really? Why would we have a gene for that? That doesn't even make sense. Why would that gene exist? And if you actually look at the research, it says, yes, that if you do have the BRCA gene, you're approximately 3 to 5% more likely to end up with breast cancer. 3 to 5%. And yet, young girls are having their bodies mutilated because they have this gene. Oh, my sister got breast cancer, so I'm just going to have a double mastectomy even though I'm totally healthy because I have this gene and it might mean that I might end up with breast cancer someday, 3 to 5%. Really? So back to these mice. So back to these mice. You know, this shows how when you alter this DNA, you can see these massive changes. And here's the actual mice. Here's the actual mice. These are actually identical mice. They're all from the same family, basically. So they should look identical, at least to us. Maybe if we were mice, we could tell them apart. But now that we see that massive change in there, you can see it's incredibly different. Incredibly different. So when we start looking at different pathways that get methylated in our bodies, now we can see that simply adding a methyl group, adding a carbon with 3 hydrogens on it, can have a profound impact on various molecules. For example, serotonin. It's known as the happy hormone for the brain. If serotonin is not properly methylated, it does nothing. So you can have all the serotonin in the world. You can be on an SSRI, which is what your standard antidepressants are, to maintain high levels of serotonin up in the brain. But if they're not methylated, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't do anything. Okay? So we need to start focusing on how we can improve our methylation. So this article here talks a lot more about epigenetics and making sure that we have proper methylation. Methylation of DNA is essential. It's an essential epigenetic control mechanism in mammals. During embryonic development, cells are directed towards their future lineages, and DNA methylation poses a fundamental epigenetic barrier that guides and restricts differentiation to prevent regression into an undifferentiated state. What the heck does that mean? Okay, it's quite simple, guys. If we're methylating things properly, now we're going to develop properly, because it's also methylation that allows our cells in embryonic development to ultimately go on to their ultimate destination. Embryonic development. Well, how do we make sure that embryos are methylating properly? We have to make sure mom is methylating properly. Dr. Patrick actually got a lot of flack one time when he did a talk called "Sick Moms Make Sick Babies," which is 100% true. Now, it sounds like you're blaming mom for every single thing that goes on with a baby. Well, let's not get carried away. Let's not blame mom, but let's blame our food supply. Let's blame the lack of education about this topic on how to properly take care of yourselves. And I'm going to rant quite a bit later on guidelines for pregnant women and how they should support themselves, because I'm going to show you how the standard guidelines for nutrition in pregnant women is actually slowing methylation. It's actually slowing methylation. You know, and we can even see, I'm going the wrong way, we can even see that DNA methylation and the environment exposes in early embryonic development. The first crucial step in development occurs pre-implantation. So if mom's not properly methylating before she gets pregnant, that's going to have a massive impact on baby as well. So you need to properly make sure that your body is healthy before you ever even get pregnant to make sure you have a healthy baby. So we talk about genetic diseases. Is there such a thing as a genetic disease? And I say this all the time, that there is not. There's no such thing as genetic disease, and people yell at me all the time. Well, what about this? What about that? What about this? Okay, name it. Name it. Oh, well, my child has cystic fibrosis. Okay, that means that mom wasn't methylating properly, which meant that when those chromosomes were dividing, that the baby developed into this in this improper way. Wait, what about Down syndrome? That's genetic. I have 3 copies of this chromosome. Yeah, because mom wasn't methylating properly, which meant that when all the chromosomes were lining up to properly divide, 3 copies ended up of one of them. So if you name any congenital issue, we're going to see that it realistically is a methylation issue. So now that directly ties in this thing called MTHFR. What's this MTHFR thing? Well, it has a direct correlation into methylation. So MTHFR stands for methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. Now that's a big mouthful in saying that this is a gene, okay? So if you want to see a picture of it, here it is. So methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, it's a gene, it's also the name of the enzyme. So in general, they will name a gene after the protein that it codes for, and in this case, it's coding for an enzyme that helps with this pathway. So you have 5,10 methylene tetrahydrofolate converting into 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. Great. Super exciting, right, guys? But this is a very important step because in the whole methylation pathway, this is the rate-limiting step. This is the one that's going to slow everything down. Okay? So now, what if you have an alteration in this gene that's now going to make this pathway not go as fast? Well, that's what we call MTHFR. When people come to me all the time, they say, I have MTHFR. And I laugh all the time. I'm like, of course you do. Everyone does. Like, no, I have the disease. I have the MTHFR disease. I have the MTHFR gene. I'm like, yeah, everyone has that gene. No, I have a defective one. Do you really have a defective one? Guys, one thing we say all the time is our bodies are programmed for normal function. Are you saying that your body's not programmed for normal function just because you have a genetic variant? Am I better or worse because I have one color eye versus a different color eye? No. If you have a genetic variant, especially if it's causing some kind of physiological difference, it just means that you need to learn how to take care of yourself differently than somebody else. So let's talk a little bit more about this gene. Here it is. There it is. Looks pretty awesome, huh? So methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, the gene, it's named for the enzyme that it codes for. It's right on chromosome 1. Now the reason this is so important is that we can see genetic variation within it. And typically what will happen in this gene is you'll have something called a SNP, which is a single nucleotide polymorphism. One single nucleotide changed. Okay? So within your DNA, you have a bunch of A's, G's, C's, and T's. These are different amino acids, and they're different nucleotides that are coding for different things. If one single nucleotide gets altered, well, now we're going to have one amino acid be coded for instead of a different amino acid being coded for, which is actually incredibly important because that does change the protein that's ultimately made. And so it changes that enzyme. Now, the enzyme can still do its job, just not as fast. Okay? So is this just an accident? Oops. Yep, this just kind of happened. Well, I guess we made a mistake. The body made a mistake. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. So let's talk a little bit more about how this affects the body right here. So the two main types of SNPs, as we call them, are at the 677 position and the 1298 position. So that's the, if you count from the front to the end, number 677. That nucleotide should normally be a C, and it can vary into a T. Or at the 1298 position, it should normally be an A, but it might actually become a C. So that's really all that happens. So you can see the enzymatic activity. If you have both copies of 677 that went from a C to a T, you're only going to have 25% enzymatic activity of your MTHFR enzyme. That sounds terrible. Oh, now I can't methylate at all. Only a quarter of the rate? Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. You can have 2 copies of the 1298 going from A to C, and now you're still going to be at 61% enzyme activity. So it's the 677, that's the real big one. The 1298 can affect it. What if you have one of each? Well, if you have one of each, now you're at 48%. Okay. So these genetic variants, these must be very uncommon, because otherwise people would just be falling apart. We'd have all these congenital diseases, all these congenital disorders, right? No, not really. No, not really. To have at least one copy of that 677T, about 50% of people have that. If you're talking about having 2 copies of the 677T, 25% of people have that. And by the way, see that little asterisk by frequency? Because if you're Italian, Hispanic, or Asian, you have up to a 20% greater chance of this happening. Up to a 20% greater chance of this occurring. So am I saying that 70% of Asians have at least one copy of 677T? Yeah. Yes, I am. Why? Why is that so prevalent? Think of your genetic origin. So don't think about your current environment and the world you live in. Think about your genetic origin. Is there a situation where it might be beneficial to methylate slower than someone else? Yeah, there is. Because you can over-methylate. And over-methylating can actually be very problematic as well. So if now, dietary-wise, we're eating a lot of methylated food, and we're actually just skipping that step entirely, and we're eating methylated folate, oh, well, now we don't want to methylate as fast because we don't want to over-methylate. So yeah, this is actually beneficial in those areas of origin. So if you're Italian, Hispanic, or Asian, historically speaking, you were eating a lot more food that was already methylated for you, so your body did not have to go through that process. So yes, this genetic disease is actually beneficial in this situation. Now, where this really started becoming noteworthy and people really started paying attention to it was when we started seeing a lot of neural tube defects. These neural tube defects, and these were absolutely horrendous and very big deals. Babies were born with their skull not fully formed or their actual spinal cord sticking out of their back. The body would put like a cap over it, but you could still see it protruding out through the back in the case of spina bifida. We would see a lot of these really intense issues. And these became a huge deal around the 70s. What happened in the 70s to our food supply? Good question. Processed, refined grains. So in the 1970s, what did they create? They created the food pyramid because they started putting out these guidelines about what proper nutrition should be, and the actual guy who put out the initial nutritional guidelines, which was George McGovern, by the way, he actually got in big trouble and had huge political backlash because he actually talked to proper nutritionists to put out federal guidelines for what nutrition should look like. Huge political backlash, his entire plan was scrapped, and instead, somebody else then went and got the heads of the food industry to determine what the nutritional guidelines should be. And they created the wonderful food pyramid. What does the food pyramid say? Fats, very sparingly, grains in the most abundance on the bottom. Is that what we should do nutrition-wise? No, we should do the exact opposite. If you're following the food pyramid, just flip it. Completely flip it. Do the exact opposite of what it says. Because grains, not only are they highly inflammatory, leading to much more chronic inflammatory diseases, but those grains have started becoming very highly processed and refined. So now, babies started being born with more neural tube defects, and we started seeing a lot more malnutrition going on because they would actually strip out all of the nutrients from this food, which would actually lead to a whole slew of issues. But then the government, in their infinite wisdom, said, aha, we have a fix for this. We have a fix for this, guys. We're going to fortify this food. We're going to fortify it with folic acid. And that wasn't until 1998 that the government mandate came out. Now, they started fortifying foods earlier than that, But this big study came out where they took folic acid and they saw that that would actually prevent those neural tube defects. Hallelujah! Our problems are solved. Folic acid has just saved the world. Has it though? All pregnant women are told to take folic acid. Every single one. I actually had a fun little joke when I was talking to an OB when my wife was pregnant. And he said, "Are you taking folic acid?" And I said, "No, I actually care about this child." And he looked at me like I was insane. And my wife got mad at me. She was like, "I'm taking prenatals, it's okay." Because they use the words folic acid and folate interchangeably. They don't know the difference. What's the difference between folate and folic acid? Folic acid is the fake synthetic form of folate. Folic acid slows your methylation. It slows your methylation. It's good enough to seal up the neural tube. It's great at that. But everything else it does. Everything else, every other metabolic process, it slows down. So your actual MTHFR pathway, folic acid slows down. It prevents proper methylation. Oh, weird. Since 1998, what have the rates of genetic diseases been doing? Going up, going up, going up. Wait, what's the first thing I learned in my genetics class? That the rate of any genetic trait, unless some kind of catastrophic event occurs, will never change. You have a genetic trait, it happens in 15% of people. 15% of people have blue eyes. I'm making these numbers up, guys. 15% of people have blue eyes. Cool. Unless some kind of mass extinction event happens to blue-eyed people, 15% of people will have blue eyes forever. But if a certain percentage of people have these genetic diseases, oh wait, is that going to change as time goes on? No. So why are they going up every year? Well, the argument is, oh, well, we're just better at diagnosing them. No, you're not. No, you're not. We can still diagnose them at the same rate, but they're happening more frequently because of our crappy nutrition and our terrible advice for pregnant women. Folic acid, guys, is vitamin B9. It's one of your B vitamins. That means we can get it from our food. What's the best food source of folate? Actual real folate, not folic acid, because folic acid does not exist in nature. Dark green leafy vegetables. Oh, why is MTHFR suddenly such a hot button topic? Why is everyone talking about it so far? What don't people eat anymore? Dark green leafy vegetables. So make sure that you're eating your food properly. Make sure that you're getting enough nutrients. Make sure that you're eating those dark green leafies in order to get proper folate levels, especially if you're a woman, especially if you have any intention of ever getting pregnant. You can get it through your diet. If you're not getting it through your diet, yes, please supplement. Do not, under any circumstances, take folic acid. Take a methylated folate, methylfolate. And that's how you're going to properly make sure that you're enhancing your methylation pathways. That's how you're going to make sure that you're properly allowing that baby to develop and keeping your body as healthy as possible. And there's my rant, guys. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Now, we got some awesome giveaways. Super exciting. So over to the team over there.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody. We had a bunch of people interacting. Lots of great questions. That's fantastic. So our winners, Ellen Meekins-Durham, Sheila Miller, Kathy Dart, Sarah M., Barbara Kyler-Moore, Eileen Mako, Sandra Lovern, Tara Van Boxtel. Congratulations.
Congrats. All right, who you got?
All right, so bear with me. I got some tricky names here. Again, I think they were trying to prank me.
Stack the deck.
So we have Makia Wang, Lynn Bestwick. Lynn, it was nice chatting with you today. You have been fantastic. A lot of great questions in there. Love the support as well. We have Julie Harris, Loretta Stutzman, Amy Diamond, Theresa Homebaker, something like that. Darren Green, and then Mandy Elizabeth. So you guys, make sure you are sending your email to giveaways@thewellnessway.com to claim your gift.
All right, fabulous. Yeah, the interaction has been fabulous. Everything from the beginning with RFK through Dr. Jesse. I mean, people are passionate and we love it. So thanks for joining us Saturday morning. We have some more winners. John Taggart, Dawn Hespridge, Leanne Saran, Jody C., Krista R., Catherine, Colette Brooks, and Tina Hogan. Congratulations, everybody. Remember to email giveaways@thewellnessway.com, and Allie will be sure to get your supplements out to you, the immune glandular. So, yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you so much, guys. Congratulations to all the winners. And once again, Dr. Jesse, thank you. You know what I'm saying? You are a genius. You are passionate. And see, that's why I'm so excited to have all these wonderful doctors. And as you can see, Dr. Jesse's love and passion for everything that way. And even when he's talking to the OB, guess what happens? He has no problem staying up for the things that he knows extremely well and stuff, and even getting advice from the OB. It's kind of neat. It's like Dr. Jesse is not saying the OB doesn't have some good advice. He's just saying, hey, listen, I know some things that you may not know, and so therefore I want you guys to understand this that way. His passion, his intensity, his study is incredible for it, and that's why I had to step away and have him teach today because of his greatness and stuff like that. So thank you once again, Dr. Jesse. I appreciate it. And take this and share it with people. And look what Dr. Jesse said. Here, and think of this way, how many guys know now after listening to Dr. Jesse, I mean, no joke, you know, I'm going to even eat probably a little bit more green leafy vegetables today just because of what he taught you. You know, and we know this stuff. It's like, and that's why you got to be reminded. That's why Saturday's show is more of a teaching show. You know, people say, well, Doc, why don't you guys do interviews? Yeah, we got some stuff we'll do in the future for TW Plus that way. But really what happens is this. When you have amazing teachers like Dr. Jesse and all of our other wonderful teachers, I want you guys to understand this so you can take this and use this and apply it to your life, because that's what Saturday shows are for. Something that you can apply to your life right away and make it better. So that way, once again, continue to watch all of our wonderful docs. And you can email Dr. Jesse at janderson@thewellnessway.com. You can actually at the Wellness Way Appleton Clinic, which is only about 30 miles here from Green Bay. He's been with me for well over a decade, and we will continue. And here's one thing, like I said before, Dr. Jesse will continue to unify on wonderful ideas. We will fiercely debate other ideas. We'll have some great things, and that's one thing about other great people. More people that you get to debate and share ideas with and educate together and live together that way and do life together, guess what happens? That's a community and stuff like that. And then therefore, we will share the stuff with you guys. So thank you once again, Dr. Jesse. Now, Travis, let's move into our, I better tell this before. For everybody for the last 10%, remember, we will only be on adp.thewellnessway.com or TW Plus. For all you guys on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, also. Which reminds me, we gotta shut that off too. So, because we don't want to get banned even on TikTok. How is it that I get banned on TikTok? I had a huge page, went crazy, millions and millions of views, hundreds of thousands of people that way, and all of a sudden they knock my account down and shut off for no reason. Zero, no warning, no nothing. Isn't that kind of crazy and stuff like that? So, last 10%, we're going to go to our private platform where they can't kick you off whatsoever and everything. So let's move over to our last 10%. And said, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Remember, especially when it comes to today's things coming up, stay healthy, stay free. We will see you guys next week. And once again, Dr. Jesse, thank you so much for you guys that got to watch MTHFR. And once again, if you are just watching the last 10% and didn't get to watch the whole show where Jesse did MTHFR, please go. It's on the website here. We appreciate you guys always watching. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video or live stream. Each week on a different perspective, we bring you the most cutting edge information on health you won't find anywhere else. For more information on this topic, please visit our website. A Different Perspective offers life-changing information and resources to share and explore. A Different Perspective is leading a health revolution.